Hello there, this is Josh with Court Reserve, and this video is going to go over our access control integration with Brivo. This video is going to go over the integration on a higher level, but we do have 2 articles going over this integration in our knowledge base. So if you would like some more information, feel free to click the book icon in the top right corner. And if you do have any additional questions, also feel free to reach out to our customer success team by clicking this green icon right here. How the Brivo integration works is once you have added your API key into your organization, a 6-digit PIN code is going to be generated for each player that has an account in your organization. Brivo does have a few different ways to give players access. They do offer access control cards and a Brivo mobile app, but those will not be offered in this integration with Court Reserve. So players will only be able to use their 6-digit PIN code in order to get access. Once you have added your API key and you are on the setup page, you will be able to create rules that will allow you to decide when a player should or should not be able to use their PIN code in order to gain access to your facility or to a building. So to get started with enabling this additional feature, we'll want to go to settings on the sidebar, and on the bottom row, the additional features row, we can go to the additional features page and navigate down to the integration section. Once we enable the access control integration, we will have the setup page here. And if we go back to the additional features page, we will also now have the access control page from this row as well. Once we click on that page, we are going to be able to select our provider. So once we select Brivo here, we will now be able to add our API key. If you need any assistance with receiving your API key from Brivo, we do have a link to an article here going over how you can get the API key during your onboarding process. So feel free to check that out or reach out to Brivo if you have any questions there. But now let me go ahead and add my API key, and then I can briefly go over the setup page. Once we have added our API key, we will now see 4 tabs on the setup page here. We'll see groups, rules, PIN codes, and errors. On the groups page, we just need to click the discovery button. What this is going to do is this is going to grab all of your groups from Brivo and add them into Court Reserve. And these groups are going to be those access points that members will be going to when they are trying to access your facility. Brivo will make sure that this all gets set up on the Brivo side so that this is all working correctly by the time you have added your API key for this integration. The next tab here is going to be the rules tab. This is going to be where we are setting up the rules and deciding when players should or should not get access to your facility. If we go to the edit page here, the first setting here will be to allow PIN code access or not allow PIN code access under the rule type. Next, we'll be able to decide if this rule is time specific. So if we enable that, we are going to be able to decide the days of the week that this rule should apply to, and also the start time and the end time. So if we only need to set up rules on the weekdays or weekends or specific days of the week, we'll be able to decide that here. And then we can choose the start time and the end time for this specific rule. Below that, we'll be able to decide our buffer minutes for the reservation start and the reservation end. What these settings are going to do are decide how much time prior to the reservation or after the reservation the member's PIN code should still give them access. So if we want to give players access to our facility maybe 15 minutes before their reservation actually starts, this is going to be how we can decide that. Next, we are going to be deciding the courts that this specific rule is going to apply to, and also the groups this rule is going to apply to. So in this example here, I have an access point just to get to Court 1. So I'm just adding Court 1 to this rule. Maybe you have an access point that gives access to Courts 1, 2, and 3. And there's one door that those players can access to get to either of these 3 courts. In that case, we'll just want to make sure all of the courts that are given access based on this access point are selected here when we are creating this rule. The next page is going to be the PIN codes page. This is going to be basically where we get a master list of all of our players and all of the pin codes. If we need to search for a specific player to get their pin code, we can search for them here. And we also have the ability to reset their pin code if we need to change it for any reason. The last tab here is going to just be an errors tab. So if there are any errors that come up at any point during this integration, you will be able to see them logged here. So if you do have any issues and you want to just give some additional information on that error, either to Court Reserve's customer success team or Brivo's, this is going to be where you can find that information. So that goes over all of the setup that is needed. At this point, once we have rules created and once we have the API key added to our organization, the pin codes are going to start showing for players once they are booking reservations or registering into any events. So next, I want to just briefly go over where you can see pin codes from the admin side, and then also where players can see their pin codes when they are on the member portal. So from the admin side, we'll be able to see a player's PIN code when we are on their account. So under the details tab, we're now going to have this PIN code section where we can see the player's PIN code, and we can also reset their PIN code if needed. We'll also be able to see their PIN code when we are looking at reservations or events from the scheduler. When we have a reservation, if we hover over it, and we go to the View Players page, we are now going to have a pin code column on this table here, so we can very quickly see players' pin codes, and this will apply to events as well. So if we have an event date on the scheduler, we hover over it and we go to the View Registrants page, we are also going to have that same column there, so we can quickly see players' pin codes. The last page that I will go over is on the event list. So if we go to Events on the sidebar, and we go to list here. If we go to an event and we click on a specific event date, we will now have a View Pin Codes button up here. And when we click on that, we are now going to have a page here that will show us every registrant for this event date and also the pin code associated with their account. So that goes over all of the places we would see a player's pin code from the admin side. Next, I will jump over to the member portal and show you where players will be able to see their PIN code. All right, so from the player's perspective, there's also going to be multiple places where they'll be able to see their PIN code. The first place is going to be on the personal information page. So if we go to their menu and we click the personal information option, they will now see their PIN code on this page under the personal information tab, and they will also be able to see their PIN code on the My Bookings page under each booking that they have. So if we go back to that menu and we go over to My Bookings, they will now see the PIN code for each reservation or each event that they are booked or registered into. We'll also be able to see our family members' PIN codes from this page as well. So if we go to the edit registration page to see all of the family members that are registered into this event, we'll be able to see the PIN code for both myself and any additional family members I have added to this event here. All right, so that goes over the Brivo integration. Again, we do have 2 articles going over this integration in our knowledge base. So if you'd like to take a look, feel free to click the book icon in the top right corner. And if you have any additional questions, you can always reach out to our customer success team by clicking this green icon right here.